My inability to just stick to one thing is my biggest failure.
This is Bruno Zacchini, founder, owner, and chef of Pizza Bruno in Curry Ford and College Park. Bruno spent his summers on the Jersey Shore and started slinging pizzas at the ripe age of 13. He moved to Orlando in 2002 to begin his culinary career and eventually bootstrapped a food cart, properly named Big Bruno's Bites.
That was my whole goal. I wanted to work for myself. I love pizza. I figured out how to way to make great pizzas.
Fast forward to 2016, with a hunger for a brick and mortar of his own, he opened the original Pizza Bruno in Curry Ford to rave reviews. But it wasn't always sunshine and garlic knots. It took failure and mistakes to get here.
A gas line blow up on you. No one's coming to rescue you. So I just had to get out there and put my big boy pants on and make it work.
And Bruno shares what he's learned from those hurdles on our new series, Start From Scratch. Welcome to Start From Scratch. What you're about to hear is the audio experience version of our actual video episode, which you can find on the BrandCrumbs YouTube channel, where you can experience the story in its original edited format. You'll be hearing mostly the raw audio from our film shoot, which means you might notice some behind-the-scenes moments, like crew directions, interruptions, and maybe a phone ringing in the background. Enjoy.
I'm Chef Bruno Zacchini, owner, operator, founder of the crazy circus that is Pizza Bruno, Orlando, Florida.
If you had to start from scratch tomorrow, what are the first 3 steps you take in your business?
If I had to start from scratch tomorrow, some things I do differently were maybe have a plan when I started, do a little research on what it's like to actually own and operate a business, because owning a restaurant and being a chef are 2 different things entirely. And I'd say the other one is maybe ask for some help, because I decided to do everything on my own at the start, and that really wasn't the best move. And it took me a while to figure out, hey, this is easier if you get maybe some help. So those are some of the biggest things.
What is the most memorable piece of advice that you were given for your business and how to run a business that you didn't follow? And why didn't you follow it?
I don't know. That's like a big question with a lot of answers that I've already forgotten. So I guess the biggest piece of advice, I think maybe early on, once again, it was probably about help, ask for some help. And I just never listened, because I just can take everything on and, do it myself, which ultimately is dug me a lot of holes. Some of still I'm trying to get out of, but it's my hard-headedness that got me there. So I'd say that's probably the biggest piece of advice, is I didn't listen when somebody says you should probably get some help with things. So I'm listening to that now.
What's one lesson that you learned from operating Bruno's Bites way back when that you still put into practice today with Pizza Bruno?
Things I learned while operating Big Bruno's Bites, which you don't know, is a food cart that I managed to put on the ground and actually serve food from for about 3 years ago, over a decade ago-ish, from a red light. So what I learned from that experience was sometimes you just have to do it. There's nobody coming for you to save you. If you're in business and, you work for yourself, no one's coming to rescue you. So a lot of times I just had to get out there and, put my big boy pants on and make it work. And there was a lot of times, there's a lot of adversity. I mean, it was a food truck, so weather and all the things that you can't plan for or expect. You expect certain things, but sometimes you're like, I didn't know that would happen, or have a gas line blow up on you and stuff like that. You just got to, get out there and get it done. But a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours, which I wasn't, unaware of, but just getting it done despite how you felt that day. And I learned that over time. So that's the biggest thing. And that's what I still do today, because there's a lot of things I don't want to do, but here I am.
To piggyback on that, what's a personal habit that contributes to your success?
I think it's self-care. And I mean self-care as far as physical activity, a physical activity, a lot of stuff that involves taking care of your body, your mind, spirituality, all those things you have to make time for and actually do to maintain a level of sanity, especially in this business, especially at this time. And, as the world gets a little weirder, you have to maintain a semblance of balance and centering. And those things help.
What kind of things do you do to stay balanced and centered?
Like I said, training, physical training, a lot, working out at least 3 times a week, no matter what, despite how tired I am, because I can make a lot of excuses. That's an important thing. And also some other things I do on the side to maintain my mental health. I have a group of people that I speak with on a regular basis that really help me through issues and problems that, they might have gone through before. And that's great to have people that have experienced things that you might not have, but they have, and for them to walk you through their experience so you don't feel like you're on your own, which is very important.
What do you think, in your opinion, is one thing, a practice or an aspect of the roller coaster that leads directly to success in the restaurant business? Like, is it, if you can control food costs, you're going to be profitable? Is it getting the appetizer right? Is it getting the first impression right? What is like the one thing that any restaurant can do that you think, in your opinion, will lead it directly to success?
You can't do one thing and succeed in the restaurant business. You can't just get food cost right. You can't just get the timing of your food down. You can't just make that first impression perfect, because you have to make the second, the third, the fourth. You have to hit that food cost number every week with a fluctuating price point. You have to get labor costs right. And that's one of the hardest things to do, especially nowadays. I will say that's probably the most difficult thing to do currently, is get our labor costs in line. And that's hard. So it's not a one thing you can do. It's a multitude of things that you have to almost get perfect every week, every day. And that's like unbelievable. So I don't think there's one thing. There's a vision of doing an overarching look at your business and focusing on those things and looking at it as a whole. What pieces of this giant puzzle can I work on today? So it's not a one thing that leads to success ever.
Well said. Very well said. Is there one thing that you can think of that took Pizza Bruno or Bruno's Bites or your time in another restaurant, that just the one thing you changed led to either explosive growth or more profit?
So the one thing I did to change
I'll hook it. I don't know, up to you.
I'll do it. I got it.
Grab that chair, kind of.
Perfect. I'll ask it again. We're good?
Easy.
Was there one thing you can contribute success to that led to explosive growth or higher profit that you changed in your business?
Higher profit in the restaurant business, that's really, if you're getting a super high profit margin, good for you. But we have a reasonable profit margin. But the biggest thing I'd said that led to our growth, our explosive growth, if you will, at the beginning, and continued, is just determining that what we do is going to be high quality and great, and the flavors are going to be like unmatched and unduplicatable. So what we do is unique. And so pushing that uniqueness, our quality, those things that we've maintained over the years, despite costing and difficulties of execution or otherwise, have made us stay on a path of growth, almost 8 years in.
How important is putting yourself out there, getting exposure, enhancing your word of mouth, and like marketing to Pizza Bruno?
So how important it is to market the business or yourself? I am named after the business because I thought it was a good name, so I'm already marketing myself. And I realize I also have to market myself separately from the business, because I've not only just done pizza or otherwise, I'm my own person with my own experiences that I have to market and promote, that I can do different things. And so it's not stepping outside of my comfort zone, but it would be more of trying to establish that Pizza Bruno is Pizza Bruno. I am Bruno Zacchini, and who is a different entity than what Pizza Bruno is, even though it has my name above the door. So I think it's just getting outside of comfort zones and also taking a look at what you want to be known for. Do I just want to be known for Pizza Bruno? I don't think so. I think I could be known for a lot more, but ultimately that's up to me. Some people just want to be known for their restaurant, and that's cool. And you can market that, and that's who you are, and that's your personality. That's awesome. But for me, I think it's more of like a want to be known for more than just, let's say, garlic knots, right? Because that's what we're known for. It says it on some shirts, famous for knots. But I'm looking to get out. Let's say get outside my comfort zone. I am outside. I'm very comfortable, anyways, in this zone. But marketing myself as opposed to the restaurant, but while also doing it simultaneously, is kind of what I'm doing, I guess. I don't know.
But it's gonna lead back to your restaurants anyway.
Yeah, sure. It'll lead back to my restaurants. Absolutely. And that's important, and I think that's, if you are comfortable with it, you should do it.
You're very comfortable. You're good at it. What's been your biggest failure?
Oh, God. Where do you start? I don't know. My biggest failure, gosh, I don't know. I think my biggest failure, and I say this in a sense of like my inability to just stick to one thing is my biggest failure. Whether it's the menu, whether it's a way we do something, I have a problem with changing shit. Sorry if I'm cussing here. You can bleep that. But I have a problem with changing things. It's very hard for me to just go this, down the tracks and keep it that way. I've never been that way, much to my detriment. And so that's a lesson I'm learning, that I have to pause and maybe just let things be cool for a little bit and not insert my own insanity, craziness, whatever, because I want to do more and I can do more, but ultimately that isn't what either, the guest wants or the staff is okay with doing. So that's one of my biggest failures, is just not sticking to something that works. Yes, certain things work, but I have a tendency to screw it all up by being like, what about this? Or why don't we change this? So that's what I'm learning, is to be more focused instead of just doing what I want, when I want, on a whim. Because in business, it's not really great for longevity, I should say.
I feel like that's something that makes great entrepreneurs, but also breaks entrepreneurs, because it's that sense of, let's just try it and why not just do it, that leads you to this. Mm-hmm. But then you're still hungry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're still craving it.
Yeah.
So you start like, well, let's do to go.
Yeah.
Let's do catering. Let's start a sister store. Let's start this. Let's do a completely anti this restaurant.
Yeah.
What advice would you give? Is just the shut up and slow down?
I'd say that, yeah. I mean, granted, yeah, you're right. Entrepreneurs, people in that entrepreneurial mind, because it's hard to say like, okay, are you an entrepreneur? The goal of an entrepreneur is to look into the future and look at things from a different angle and perspective that a general person in the field cannot see. There's different levels, and a manager is managing those people in the field who are only working in front of them. A leader, an entrepreneur type person is looking forward and also looking at things from different perspectives, which is helpful. But you also have to understand that that's just not what you have to do all the time. You can do it, and it is important, because if you just do the same thing, you never change, you're never gonna do anything different or find a different solution. I think that's always what it is. It's like, I'm willing to look and try different things to find different solutions to get to an end goal, whether it's a better service, it's more profitable, ease of doing something. That's something that I've had to learn now, is that when I think of stuff to do or want to do, with it's a menu or a process, I have to think of ways to where, can they achieve this without it being me? Because my abilities and my way of doing things might just not work. But how do we get that result? So is it important to be a forward-thinking person who looks outside of the box? I think so, yes. But it's also important to understand limitations within that box and respect it. And that's kind of my thought process on that.
It's a good thought process. Some say that the secret to that and scaling is like delegating. So delegating is almost like art. It's never finished. It's only abandoned when you're scaling. So it's like, that sauce is almost perfect. Damn it, I'm a perfectionist. I want to make sure that every guest gets the perfect recipe. But if you do that, there's no way of scaling or getting out of the restaurant. Do you find yourself having to it's 90%, 95% great, fine, let's move on?
There was a time where I was at the pass 7 days a week for a couple years. That's cool for everybody else. And I mean everybody else is all our guests, our staff, because it's going to be perfect. But I also went insane. So there is a moment of kind of learning, and I had that moment of learning after 2.5, 3 years in of living here, that if it's 90% good, that's fantastic. If it's 100% good, that's an unreasonable expectation. And I'll never leave. I'll never have a life. I'll never be able to do anything else. And personally, I had to weigh out what was important to me. Is it important that everything is 100% right all the time while my whole life is collapsing? Or is it 90% okay and I'm, the 10%, we can manage. We can manage to have maybe a 10% of the experiences or plates that go out aren't all the way up to my standards, but my standards are unreasonable. And I don't think anybody coming to the door would know any different. Like I do, but a general guest coming in wouldn't see the things that I do. So I've had to temper my expectations with growth, personal, life, my sanity, my physical well-being, and that's fine. For 10%, I'll take it, and be able to be freed up to do things, take a day off, and that's fine. I can do that. And that's worth more. I can spend time with my family, my daughter, do hobbies that I have. That's fine. It's worth it to me.
I just like the dramatic pause at the end. So that's how to wait. Cool. Well, speaking of that, and everybody else, it's cool for everybody else. People probably try your delicious menu, the garlic knots, the tight socks, my favorite, and they see you've been here since 2016?
Yes, we opened in 2016, June.
2016. Yep. You made it through the pandemic. You're still going. And they see you at 2 locations now, building more. And they probably think to themselves that Bruno's got it figured out. Do you agree or do you disagree?
Depending on what you think figured out is, because I'll tell you, every day I wake up, I don't know what the hell to do next. I really don't. And that's, going back to what I said before, I'm lucky I have people that have done this before or can offer insight. Because if I pretend to know what I'm doing, I'd be lying. I'd be lying to myself. I'd be lying to the people around me. I'd be lying to everyone and everything about who and what I am. Like, I don't have all the answers. I don't ever claim to. And that's fine. Like, nothing wrong with that. What's up?
Welcome.
With Chef Matt.
Hi, Chef. You said you don't have all the answers and you don't claim to.
Yeah.
Who do you see out here in the community locally that you look at them like, you admire and like, damn, they got it figured out?
I'd say who I look at locally, who I think has it figured out. I go back to some of the old guard, like Ravenous Pig, James and Julie, Chef Brandon from Prado, and now Luke's. And, I worked for them, and, I looked at them as, mentors and people I looked up to. And I still do, because they really have what I see as successful names, brands, institutions that have really laid down a foundation for further growth in Orlando's culinary community. And, that's important to not forget that, because Orlando in the past, 5 years has exploded. 10 years ago was okay. 15 years ago was non-existent, but they were there. And a lot of people that have come up, made successful businesses or been successful chefs in their own right, can thank a lot of those chefs and people that were putting out stuff that still to this day, looking back, was phenomenal. Looking back at the food that was being put out was out of control. And so those who are folks I look at that are like, they got it figured out, at least from my perspective.
I'm curious to hear what they would say to the question I asked before that of people, hey, Chef Bruno said you got it figured out. I wonder what they would say to, like, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. They could be in the same boat as me. Who knows? It's ever changing, evolving, and, restaurant business, I think, is one of those things that pretending that you have it figured out or thinking you do will always be met with like a challenge or a curveball or some difficulty you couldn't even possibly imagine would happen. And it's the hardest business. If people say that, like I'll say that, but people say that and it's not untrue. It's definitely not untrue. It's probably the hardest business to be in, flat out. Aside from, I don't even know, like you're dealing with other businesses where you're dealing with people's lives, life and death, but this is brutal. At best, is brutal.
On that same string, tell me about a time that one day it felt like everything was crashing down. You don't know what was going to happen the next day or next week. And what happened next?
When was it crashing down? What, last week or 2 weeks ago, a month ago? I mean, I don't know. You can talk, that happens cyclical, I guess. COVID, that was something that was crazy. And looking back on it, I wish I made some different decisions, but it is what it is. And over time, we've had difficult scenarios, whether, staffing problems or just all sorts of things that, this week, nothing has happened yet. And that's cool. Like, nothing major has happened this week. And crashing down around you is almost a week by week, day by day thing. And, it's a tough way to live, but, thick skin and, remembering that it's not the end of the world when they happen. So that's important.
In that same notion, I want to hear, I'd really like to hear, and I think I'd appreciate if you can share like a specific example. I love hearing the stories of like, I had to call my mom to loan me money to pay payroll. Mm-hmm. Or we finally got out of a hole and then the freezer died.
Yeah.
And we lost all our brisket, right? Mm-hmm. Those are stories I love, and I think if it gives me hope. So I feel like it gives other entrepreneurs hope. Do you have a specific example of that?
I'll give you a recent example. So this summer was probably the most difficult summer I've experienced in this restaurant space in Orlando ever. Hands down. We were down 50% in sales. So 50% down in sales from year to date, which is crazy. Our summers usually only drop 10, 15%. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing like earth shattering. So 50% down in sales. Our ACs are down. I get back from a small trip to New Jersey. I come back. Our ACs are broken. We're down in sales like crazy, trying to figure it out. My general manager disappears, goes AWOL on me. And on top of all this, we're just not getting people in the door. So I'm having to juggle taking over this role entirely while not having the sales to do well enough to support having somebody in the door. And so that ultimately led to, a lot of other things. You lose revenue, you have to make payroll, doesn't matter. So there were some difficult choices this month or this past summer of, taking out some small personal loans to keep payroll floated, to not paying myself for a few months. Again, this isn't something that's new. There's times where I'm like, well, here we go again. I don't know when I'm going to receive a paycheck again. And that was a couple months. And I'm lucky to be able to start receiving a paycheck again about 3 weeks ago. And so you don't get paid for 2.5 months, but you're here 50 hours, 60 hours a week. Ask anybody else if that's going to be okay. You got a 9-to-5 job, at least you're getting paid. You don't have to think about that, right? I still have to show up, open the doors. And what we did was almost counterintuitive. So you don't have the sales, struggling to pay payroll. What did we do? We added the lunch service 7 days a week. So we added more hours, more time, but more time to make revenue. And it's actually worked out. So we actually saw our sales starting to increase. Yeah, there's the first couple weeks we're standing around, but instead of being like, hey, oh no, let's cut our hours. Let's cut our staff. I said, screw it. Let's just go for more and see if it can change. We're here anyways prepping, and it's actually changed the dynamic a little bit and started adding sales. So, which was important. So that's a recent one, but there's been numerous ones. The first year, talk about opening the doors with $700 to your name. That's what we did. That's what I did. And not figuring out how I was going to make the first payroll, but I did, and it's just been a constant juggle. I don't think it's ever like, oh yeah, it was easy from the start. We were just like printing money. Like people think about that. Like they see the doors, they see the doors open. There's a bunch of people here. Obviously you're making money. yeah, money's going to the register, but where's it going? Where else is it going? And that's what people, I think, have to really understand about, particularly the restaurant business, because it's hard. You're talking pennies. You might take home pennies at the end of the day. It sucks. But hey, I love it, right? I don't know how to do anything else, so here I am.
How do you stay motivated? And like, I guess the real word is, how do you stay resilient on that roller coaster? Because I've been entrepreneurs that in front of the camera and even off camera that said, confess that it's not the magic and the staff or the, I just love serving, or like the answers, right, that we usually hear. They confessed that it was the fear of failure. They were so afraid of being a failure from whatever trauma that they just kept, that was what fueled them to keep going. How do you stay resilient?
Yeah, fear is, it plays in. There is fear. But if I was saying, if I'm only doing this to avoid failure, that's an ego problem of my own. And the way I stay motivated, it's almost like, you got to be, if you want to be, tough, you got to be dumb or whatever. There's this old saying, if you're going to be, whatever, I don't know. But you have to, not really buy into the fear of it, because it sucks. Yeah, it's times where it's fearful, it's shitty, it's not great, it's not rewarding, it's very thankless. It's just extremely thankless. I mean, the amount of stuff that I deal with or been treated like, it sucks. But, fear isn't what keeps me going. It's like, I just do it because I don't know any better a lot of times. And yeah, I want to see succeed, not for fear of failing. I mean, once part of me is like, great, close it. I'd have a lot less stress on my plate. I go get a job and not think about it. Absolutely. But I just don't know how to stop moving forward, because if I did, I would just lie to myself about why. I don't have a real good reason why to stop. Yes, I like making pizza. Yes, I like restaurant business. Yes, it's the only thing I really know how to do. But like, here we are, 7.5 years on. Like, do I just quit? Like, out of fear? Dude, I'd feel like an asshole. Like, just being afraid of something is just not being, aware of the fact of the matter is that, like I said, I go back to, like, you can talk to other people, business owners, other people and other things, therapy, whatever. All those things can be used as tools to understand that right now is right now. It's not in the future. It's not in the past, whatever. You're just dealing with right now. And that's cool. And sometimes that's all you need to deal with is like what's in front of you, and push everything out. Because if you don't deal with what's in front of you, you're living here or you're living here. And neither one of those are right now. And this is the most important. Because if you can't deal with right now, you're going to forever be either in fear, regret, all these things of what I could have, should have, or what could happen. Instead of looking at it like that, it's like, well, this is what I can do right now. And that's, I think, is, a little, have to evolve a little bit within yourself. Because yes, trauma is a part of people's experience and how they drive themselves forward. I have plenty of it, but I've also learned that that's not what defines me or who I am. And that is an important thing some people might still have to discover about themselves. And that this, even though it is my name, it is not who I am. So if it fails, I didn't fail as a person. And that's cool. I can look at it like that.
Great answer. When you have those moments of stress and like, what am I going to do next? How am I going to solve payroll? How am I going to solve this permit issue? Whatever. Who do you call to either talk the idea out or the problem out, bounce an idea off of, or just vent? Who do you call? That's not your family.
I can't call my wife. We've decided that that's not going to work, albeit I'll listen to her, but I've learned that I can't bring my problems to her. So I have a lot of friends in the restaurant community. All of us owners talk. I had a call from a friend that they moved to another town and they're struggling, and they're very talented at what they do. They're not like a fly by night. They've been doing this for a long time. And they called me and they were like, this is really bad. What are we going to do? And we talked about it and how to figure out some things. And they're potentially trying to work with some Florida legislators and say, like, how can we help the restaurant business in Florida, especially small business restaurant, because as small business owners, you're left on your own to figure it out without a lot of help. And ultimately, too, we're looked at those people that have to sacrifice because we're small business owners, which is crazy. It's like we have to give the discounts. We have to do those charities. We have to do all this stuff, which we do, but yet somehow we're supposed to not receive any exterior help, or we're going to bootstrap everything. So, there's people in the business I talk to, there's people outside of the business that are just, I'm lucky enough to be like, hey, I can just call. And we're on a level that's just, nothing about their successes weigh on my perception of them. It's just that they're another person on equal footing. And that's super cool, to have that.
It's so important to have that.
Yep.
2 more questions.
Yeah.
How much to where you are today would you attribute to hard work versus luck?
Lucky's weird. I don't know if it's luck. I'd say it might have I don't know if you can put a quantify luck. I don't know if that's the thing. Hard work, yeah. Lucky, maybe. I think just being, dumb enough to keep going, regardless of opinions or thoughts or feelings, or physically being exhausted to the point of all I could do is throw my legs over the bed to just come in again and open the doors and start it up again. I don't know if that's luck. I mean, yeah, it's certainly hard work. Is it smart? I don't know. Not really. I don't know. So luck and hard work, I think both go hand in hand, because if you're sitting there wanting something, the only way you're going to get it is if you actually apply yourself. There's a big thing that I say is people want to. That's I want to do this thing. That's cool, but you have to do something about it, right? You can want all day to want to do something, but it just really comes down to just taking the step, whether it's opening a business, starting a new hobby, going on a trip. It doesn't matter. There's so many things that people have well, I want to do this, or whatever. You have to do it, man. And there's no one else that can do that but you. You're in your own shoes, right? You have to left foot, right foot, and that's, I think, part of success, is getting rid of the want to and put your money where your mouth is, regardless of the outcome, right? Regardless of your success or failures, or am I getting paid this week, or whatever, dude. It's gonna suck, or it's gonna be awesome, but there will be glimpses of awesome, and your feelings luck will be, there on your side if you put the right energies towards it.
Who should we visit and talk to next, and why?
To do this, Lexi at Swine & Sons. She's one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my life. Also a talented chef. Just awesome overall. She's wonderful. So I would say Lexi. I'd be interested to hear what she has to say. She used to yell at me at Luma all the time back in the day. I was a terrible cook. So she would be a great conversation.
Thanks. That's all the questions I had. You guys have any other questions? You're a big foodie? Question?
Fire away, man. I got answers.
What's your favorite dish on your menu?
My favorite dish on my menu? So I'll start with the newest restaurant, College Park. The cheese pizza, dude. The classic cheese pizza. Oh my God. It's just it hits on so many levels. And the smell, when you go in the morning, it's the first pies out. I was there the other day. We were doing I think we were filming, or something. I was there early, and they were putting out the first pies of the day. And there's a certain smell that reminds me of being a kid in New Jersey on the boardwalk. And the combination of the cheese, the sauce, the dough, everything. It's just man, I love that pizza. It's such a great takeout pizza. So really love that pie. Here, Curry Ford, I would say, favorite dish here. That's I don't know. I've eaten all of them a lot of times, but garlic knots are great. I'll have one every 6 months. I go, damn, these are actually good. So that's really good. I really like the octopus is delicious. That's a delicious one. For pizzas, here I would say Tight Socks is always a good choice. I really love The dude with egg, mushrooms, and bacon. That's a super good little choice. We have some sandwiches for lunch now. Coming in, grab the Italian sandwich, the piadina, so good. And we just do it on pizza bread, and it's really good. So I have a lot of favorites. It just depends on my mood, but I think I get a pizza from College Park once a week, just a cheese pizza, and it's, man, does it do the job. It's so good. So, and here, I mean, the pizzas here are great. The margarita are classic original. I mean, I'm very boring in my selections. Like, I like simplicity. I like to keep it easy. I'm not like, I need all this stuff. Like, it's not for me.
You're classic.
Yeah, well, you can't. I say if you're nailing classic stuff right, everything else is going to be pretty good. Or it should be anyways. If you're getting the simple things right, everything else should be good because you have a good base.
There's a ghost, right? Ghost?
Crimson Ghost, yeah.
Crimson Ghost, yeah.
I didn't invent that.
No.
No. That's been done for years, and sopressata, margarita, hot honey. I mean, it's not new. It's everybody's done everything in the pizza world, so I claim no uniqueness. Maybe the tight socks throwing Thai basil and emperor's dressing on a pepperoni pizza. That was about the most original I've ever gotten, I think, which isn't really original, I guess. But everything's been done in the pizza business. Rarely do you see anything that's like super like, whoa, that's new. It's not. Somebody's done it. Always. Everybody's done it.
The secret to this pizza business, because everybody's done it, it's been done, is be good.
Yeah, be good. I mean, pizza business as a whole is oversaturated, been oversaturated with bad pizza. Still is oversaturated with really bad pizza that people order on a regular basis. And so it's like, how do you separate yourself from this like sea of choices, a sea of usually lower price choices that the perceived value outweighs the quality? And so you're fighting this tide of like, well, they can get this cheaper here, but it's like garbage, right? So yes, you're fighting to say like, hey, this is better and why, whether it's your dough making techniques, it's always coming down to like, is your dough really good? Are your ingredients really good? Do you have really solid recipes? You have solid execution? Can you pull it off? And fighting that battle of like, this is really good pizza and here's why. And getting people to understand that, because like I said, pizza's been and has been oversaturated with garbage forever. I mean, from the 80s on, it's just been how do we get to the bottom as quick as possible as far as price, but also inflating as like, this is value. It's not, man. It's not.
Thanks for listening to the Start From Scratch audio experience. Don't forget to check out the video version on the BrandCrumbs YouTube channel, where you can experience the story in its originally intended format. Stay tuned for the next episode, where we'll bring you more inspiring stories of resilience.